I gotta show y'all.
Oh God, okay.
All right, there we go. All right. So this is my information speech for oral communications. My name is Jim. This speech is on the Battle of Gettysburg and how the result of that one battle resulted in the outcome of the Civil War and future. First off, that battle should have never happened. It was never planned to be happening. General Robert Lee had made an invasion of Pennsylvania, coming north, trying to get supplies for the Southern Army. Fortunately, his generals were under strict orders not to engage, but one of his generals, Harry Heath, sent his troops into Gettysburg to find some shoes. There's a shoe factory in Gettysburg, and they thought they would get some supplies. Well, they ran into uh, General Buford's cavalry. They started skirmishing then, and by that time it was too late. They were into it. General Lee says, well, this could be a chance that we could just take it. And initially, all his troops were coming up, and all Buford had at that time was his cavalry unit, and which was not enough. He just had to hold on because General Reynolds was coming up with his infantry unit. Later in the day, of the first day, Reynolds units did get there. But the bad part about Gettysburg is it's surrounded by hilly areas. They needed to get whoever was going to win the battle needed to get into the hills. The Confederate Army delayed, never got up in there. The Union Army was able to get some into there. Now, General Reynolds, when the Union Army first got there, it was chaotic. He got killed initially right off the bat. They had no leadership. Initially, the Confederate Army was winning. But they didn't get into the hills. Now, that's some of the major mistakes made there. One by the Union Army was they should have fortified quicker. They should have had more off the bat. The Confederate Army didn't go for the hills. Second day came around, day two. This was where the majority of the fighting was done, was on the second day. There was major battlefield areas of the wheat field, the peach orchard, Little Round Top, Big Round Top. What I want to talk about is Little Round Top. That's where the left flank of the Union Army was. It was scattered all the way across. If the Confederate Army can get up there, they could take it and sweep the whole Union Army and just rout them. But the terrain was horrible, and then General Lee made the first big mistake of that battle is he delayed and delayed and delayed and never did it. Nothing. General Longstreet, who's one of his corps commanders, didn't want to do the attack. He says, this is not good. We should go around to the back, sweep it and cut. We can cut them between there and Washington. General Lee says, nope, we're going to take it here. So Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, who was one of the battalion commanders, he was on the far left. And he had it. And he was already told that if you fall, we're all going to fall. And they battled all day, charge after charge, but the hill that they had to go up to was a horrible terrain. But they only had so much ammunition, they were running out. And finally, what Chamberlain did at the end was they did a bayonet charge down the hill. So they filed bayonets, down they went. And they ended up routing the Confederates then. Now, that didn't win the battle. That stopped the advancement there. there were still all the other major battles going on. Multiple generals got killed, multiple injuries. It was the second day of Gettysburg was the 10th bloodiest battle on U.S. soil in the Civil War. Now, the Antietam is the #1 battle. All right, so now they've had time and time where, due to the delays, they've been unable, they couldn't do it. So the Union Army held, all their main forces were right in the middle. So day 3 come around, and that's when if you've ever heard of Pickett's Charge. So Pickett's Charge was General Lee made one final decision: since we're not leaving, we're going to take it. I can't ask my troops to leave after we bled so much here. And so unfortunately, where he was wanting to go was stuck right in the valley in between the Union Army's artillery and their troops in the middle. But he said if he can crack them in the middle, he'll do it. Longstreet didn't want to do it. He delayed, which was another cost. The bad thing was about the Pickett's Charge was it was a mile between where they were in the tree lines to the center. That whole time they were getting peppered by artillery, and it got destroyed. The overall cost of the battle, there was 51,000 people either wounded, killed, captured. That in itself, the battle itself is the largest ever in the United States. And it was the momentum change for the Union. Prior to that battle, the Union was losing the war. But the day before the end of Gettysburg, Grant took Vicksburg, which won the western part. Then they started taking the east. Once they broke Gettysburg, Lee escaped, went back south, and then they started chasing him down south. In November, they did the Gettysburg Address, and that's when President Lincoln reaffirmed the Union's resolve to win the war and rejoin the Union. And that's it. That's it for today. Thank you.